Welcome to a brand new mega series on the channel, where we're going to be discovering what the best config of any car in BeamNG is. Starting off right at the start with the Autobello Piccolina. I have all 18 configs here, and today we're going to be racing them around Belasco Circuit on the West Coast USA map. Now, what you might notice about this particular circuit is the amount of places it has for cars, which comes up to 30. What you might also notice is quite a lot of the cars in BeamNG have more than 30 configs. I will explain that when the time comes, which isn't now. However, in the meantime, we're going to be racing these Piccolinas. Look how many accidents there are happening. It's ridiculous. 2. But before we start the race, let's look at the cars. Starting with this, La Brutta Anatra. Italian for ugly duckling. This is the Gambler 500 configuration of Piccolina. Originally this car started out as a normal Piccolina, then was turned into a dragster, before being left to rot. And then a new owner found it rotting and decided to make it suffer even more. As you can see, it's got very distinctly undrag-like tyres, it's got the weird roof rack, actually no, I quite like the roof rack, but petrol cans and stuff, and it's got a bathtub on the front. Moving on from this, we have the Piccolina 110s. This is the 110A, the 110B, and the 110. Now the 110 is the original with a 1.1 litre engine. The 110A is the 1964-68 facelift model, and the 110B is the 1969-73 model. Comes with a stiffer sway bar. These are the basic Piccolinas. I don't expect them to do very well. Moving on to the Piccolina 130, we have 5 of them this time. We've got the 130, 1957-63, just like the 110. The 130 Tricolore. This one's very interesting, follows all the Italian stereotypes, shocker, but mechanically and just mechanically it's basically a Piccolina 130 with a different paint job. Now we have the 130A. This was the facelift model from 1964 to 1968. Comes with these new alloy wheels that I don't particularly like, amongst other things, mainly cosmetics. This Piccolina 130B, however, not just cosmetics. It does obviously come with these new black plastic front bumpers, which I hate, but it's also gone up from 44 brake horsepower, like the 130 and 130A, to 61. That's definitely going to do something when it comes to the straights. And then the Carabinieri model. This was the one offered to Italy's police between 1957 and 63. Because it is a Piccolina 130. For some reason, however, it's slightly worse than the 130. At least that's what it says in the stats page. I have no idea which one is going to win. I also don't particularly care. The Piccolina Street Machine. This is a tuned Piccolina, which has had things like these new alloy wheels and an engine upgrade, as well as the seats being stripped apart from one which is replaced with a race seat. Now, the engine tuning may not seem like much until you realise the most powerful Piccolina of the day, the 150 Corsa, was 90 horsepower, and this is 384. This is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with on the racetrack, I can tell. The 150 Corsa is the most powerful stock Piccolina. Because it's got a 1.5 litre engine, which produces 90 brake horsepower. This is the racing model. Well, this is the road-going version of the racing model. Then we have the Baja, another Piccolina 150 based car, this time with these upgraded shocks, a new roof rack, spare tyres. Basically, this is a force to be reckoned with on the dirt tracks. How it will do on these not dirt tracks, e.g. a tarmac race circuit, is anyone's guess. This is the racing Piccolina 150 Corsa, the 150 Corsa track. I think this is going to be the fastest car around the racetrack. I will probably be proven wrong, but whatever. It's the one that's purpose built to go round here, so if it doesn't win, bit awkward. And then the 150 Gravel Rally. This one has the wheels from the 1960s Piccolina 130A and B, which is odd because it's not like the other 150s, and it's designed to go rally driving. However, it's not as extreme as the Baja version. This one should be quite quick. The Piccolina Dragster, this is what La Brutta Anatra was based on. It's, well, resembles a Piccolina, but also doesn't. You've got the weird rickshaw front subframe, wheelie bar, fat back tyres, thin front tyres, roll cage, paint job, and the engine. Now, I mentioned that the most powerful factory Piccolina had 90 bhp. Wanna guess how much power the Dragster has? 925. Belasco circuit has two relatively long straight, well, a medium length straight and a very long straight. This could be quite dangerous. However, there are also a lot of corners in between there, so whether it will lose too much time on those corners, I have no idea. These are the more extreme Baja Piccolinas. We've got the Baja Spec 5, which is still resembling a Piccolina. You got the ridiculous suspension, and all in all, it's just more stripped out. Still has the same engine as the 150 though. Then we have the what? The Baja Spec Unlimited. This one doesn't resemble a Piccolina very much, but I promise you, it is a Piccolina. Again, we've got the ridiculous suspension and even more ridiculous bodywork, which is essentially, but it's basically not a Piccolina anymore, isn't it? Much more powerful than any of the factory Piccolinas as well. I think it's more powerful than the Street Machine as well, which is good. And then the Extreme. This has 800 horsepower, but unlike the Dragster, it can actually turn. This could prove to be very dangerous. However, we do also have the suspension, which will be a hindrance on the circuit, and very thin tyres. So, which Piccolina do you think is going to win? Make your bets now. Anyway, enough flim-flam. This is the car I'm going to be driving, Piccolina 110. The rest of them are all AI. 3, 2, start, we're going. And off they drove, straight into the jaws of quite large amounts of chaos, quite frankly. It's an amazingly fast start from the car with 34 bhp. This isn't going to be a very exciting race from my end. Now, not very long into editing, I realised I couldn't possibly show all the little bumps, scrapes and accidents that were going on in the race, because there were so many of them. I mean, just look at this first straight. Look how many accidents there are happening. It's ridiculous. So to keep things short and to keep things interesting, I'll only be showing you the best, of which there are still quite a lot. By this point in the race, we'd broken into two large packs. The Piccolinas at the front that hadn't crashed at the start, and the Piccolinas at the back that had. And the Piccolinas at the very back, which were completely out of the race. The winning car was the Piccolina 110A, which surprised me a lot. In fact, what was even more surprising was the fact that it was breaking away from the pack. Oh, the Carabinieri is gone. Bringing up the rear of the pack, we have the Baja Spec 5 and just the normal Baja Piccolina. The Baja Piccolina has got a snapped front axle, which has essentially made it very hard to control and also quite slow. While the Baja Spec 5, to wait for it, has got a shredded front tyre. Meanwhile, back at the head of the pack, the 110A finally lost its place to the Street Machine. Turns out 390 horsepower will do that, and it gave the Street Machine a fleeting moment of glory. Until it cocks it up at the next corner. And while the Street Machine was probably the most interesting crash here, the 110A, Dragster, oh Jesus 110B, 110 being driven by me, 130B, 130, 150 Corsa, and that's it, all had accidents here. As well as this, we've also got the Baja Unlimited spec and the Carabinieri having a collision and driving each other into a wall before the corner even began. And just coming up the road now, we have the Baja Extreme and the 150 Corsa. The 150 Corsa Gravel Rally clearly wanting to give this car a taste of its own medicine, because now there's two tripods on the track. Due to these mild shenanigans, the 130A seized the opportunity and took the lead. At this point in the race, it's just a very long straight with very little action. So here's the moment that the Street Machine Piccolina was pretty much guaranteed not to win. Shame really, because it could have done pretty well, but then it got spun off by a 130. Oh well, there's no one behind me, which is odd. My front has been slightly damaged. Oh, there's a little blue speck in my rear view. That blue speck was this. The 61 horsepower Piccolina 130B. With such a big power advantage over the 1.1 litre Piccolinas, this was a serious force to be reckoned with on the straight. Or at least it would, if not for the fact that the Piccolina 130A was romping away to victory, storming away from the pack by several seconds. And now for a lesson on the consequences of an accident. This Piccolina 150 Corsa has just crashed. How many other cars do you reckon are going to be, well, essentially have their races ended because of it, or at least have their races affected? Place your bets now, ladies and gentlemen, and variations thereupon. Let's play the footage. 1, 2, and then here it comes. 3, nearly 4. But wait a minute, here's the 4th. That's 4 cars plus the main 150 that was actually involved that have had their races ended just because of one accident. What did I say at the start? It was going to be chaotic? I'm right. And there you have it, the winner of the Piccolina heat of this competition, the 1964-68 130A. And as it comes on its victory lap down the main straight and wins, we can only wonder, how's everyone else faring? Well, hot on its heels-ish is the 130B, me in the 110, and the lovely Crimson 110B, sorry. Followed up by the 110, looking good there, like the white walls. The 130 has spun. Really? Okay. Coming up now, we have the Carabinieri and Tricolori. The Tricolori not doing Italy proud. I'm sorry. And then a long way back, we have the now incredibly crippled Baja Extreme. You'd think with 800 horsepower it would be able to do something, but apparently not. Being on 3 wheels will do that. And then really far back, Jesus Christ, how far back do we have to go? We have the Baja Piccolina is in a tyre wall. The Baja Spec 5 is, I don't know what it's doing. Amazing quality. This is really slow, so I'm going to look at all the crashed Piccolinas. There's the Baja, stuck in a tyre wall. There's the Dragster, completely obliterated with some particles flying around, I don't know why. Snapped half shafts. I don't know what's happened to the Baja Extreme. There's the 130B. And the 130A going around for another lap. These two are, Jesus Christ. Okay. Street Machine and 150 there. And then, long way back, there are the others doing a second lap because they're AI. Anyone else? Oh, the 150 course of gravel rally. Still stuck. Anyone else? Oh yes, of course. Right back at the very beginning, the cars that made it not very far at all. The 150 Corsa track and La Brutta Anatra. So, there you have it. The winner of this competition. The Piccolina 130A. Thank you all for watching. Join me soon for the Stambico round.